Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to each of the witnesses for being here today and for being willing to share your stories and your expertise on such a difficult but extremely important topic. Ms. Ohden, Melissa, I want to start with you if I could. You are a fellow Missourian. Thank you so much for being here. It's always great to see a Missourian here before the committee, but particularly I want to thank you for being willing to share your story. I know it can't be easy, and you said you were 14 when you learned the truth. Would you be willing, if you are able and want to just to share a little bit about how you came to learn about your story and what that was like? I mean, I can't imagine what it's like for a 14-year-old to discover the truth of what had happened.
Thank you, Senator. I was 14 years old when I found out the story of my survival. My adoptive parents knew my story when they adopted me, as I shared in my testimony. They were told I would suffer from disabilities, but they kept it a secret because they wanted to protect me from the truth. They raised me to know that my birth mother loved me, placed me for adoption, and that's what they wanted me to know throughout my life. But when I was 14 years old, my older sister, as a high school student, faced her own unplanned pregnancy. And when our parents found out that she was not sure about what decision she would make regarding that pregnancy, they told her the story of my survival. And like any good teenage sister, she didn't keep it a secret from me. She didn't tell me everything, but she said something that had never been said before at our house. During an argument one night, she said, my biological parents wanted me. And I was thinking, wow, we're both adopted. I thought we were equally loved, right? And that's what urged me on. She said that night, wait up for mom and dad tonight and ask them to tell you the truth, and you will see. And so here I was on a cold October night, I'll never forget it, 14 years old, sat my mother down, asked her to explain to me, right, why my sister would ever say such a thing. And that night, my mom spoke words that no parent should ever have to say. She said, Missy, your biological mother had an abortion during her pregnancy with you, and you survived it. And there's no preparation for that. I work with survivors who are 14 or 41, and I can tell you that those words change your life forever.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let me just ask you, Melissa, do you think that your experience as an abortion survivor, did the fact that, in this case, your grandmother, I think you testified, is the one who really wanted your mother to have an abortion and sort of forced it upon her, but did that diminish you and your rights in any way? The fact that your grandmother would have preferred you not live for, I'm sure, various and complicated reasons, but did that make you any less of a person or any less valuable as a person? Did it take away any of your dignity that's yours by virtue of being a woman?
And I appreciate you talking about that. I keep thinking about that. We hear all this talk about women's rights, but I beg the question, where were my rights in the womb? Where are the rights of the little girls who are going to lose their lives to abortion every single day? Where are my rights now as a woman who survived an abortion? Where are the rights of my daughters who never would have lived if that abortion would have succeeded in ending my life? I appreciate the discussion about women's rights, but I would appreciate a conversation about the lives of other women like me.
Thank you for that. You testified in your written testimony that you didn't think you would have survived if the abortion had been performed at a Planned Parenthood facility as opposed to a hospital. Can you talk more about that? Tell us why you think that's true and why in your case and in all of these cases for babies born like you, prompt treatment is absolutely vital.
I think that's another great question, Senator. I survived at a hospital because, of course, most late-term abortions take place at hospitals, not because they're trying to prepare themselves to provide care to children like me, but because of the greater risk to women's health the later in the pregnancy that abortion is occurring. So I was blessed to be born alive accidentally at that hospital and to have that nurse willing to rush me off from that room into the NICU, because I do believe if I would have been born accidentally at Planned Parenthood or another abortion clinic, they would not have done what they needed to do to get me to a place where medical care would be provided. They do not have that at their disposal there to immediately provide a child medical care. I am blessed indeed.
Do you think that abortion facilities that are separate from hospitals will adequately care for babies if they're not required to do so by law?
I know too much about other people's experiences to know that children like me aren't always immediately provided medical care. I think we try to make ourselves feel good, right? Thinking somehow a child must immediately be saved by by those professionals at clinics, but that is not the case. I mean, you can read up even on a case in 2007, I believe it was, out of Florida, where a child like me survived an abortion. I believe the birth mother was like 18 years old, called 911 herself, panicking in regards to this child. The child was breathing when they were placed in a biohazard bag where they suffocated to death. The child was then thrown on top of the building on the roof and was left there for a period of time before ultimately they were returned into the clinic and found later.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Thank you very much, Ms. Ohden. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.